All right, y'all, we're back again today in Baldur's Gate 3, and today we're going to make a frontline brawler, but that debuffs and controls the battlefield. And of course, if you've seen in the thumbnail and then in the intro, yeah, that's Beowulf from Final Fantasy Tactics, which is, he's a very unique special class because he doesn't play I would say all the other knights. So we're going to try to replicate that in Baldur's Gate 3. Now, the way we like to make builds around here is fun, viable themes for honor and tactician mode, not necessarily optimized, especially with this build. I think it goes without saying in Baldur's Gate 3, damage is king. So if you could kill a target, well, then that's the best way to proceed. But this is not really that build. This character more sets up characters to be ultimate destroying machines. So before we get to character creation, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave a comment. What was the last meal you ate? Me, I had a breakfast sandwich this morning. So let's get to character creation. So in character creator race, usually it's up to you. In this case, I'm going to go with human for that shield proficiency. The class we're going with is Paladin. And the only thing you really need to focus on here is pick the Oath of Vengeance subclass. And then for your ability point layout, you really just need to focus on charisma and having high dexterity. For this build in this video, we are going to be using the elixir of Hill Giant Strength. You get those from Auntie Ethel in Act 1, and you can also buy them throughout the game, but it's really easy to stock up on those. So we can almost dump our strength, but if you don't want to do that, then obviously, bump up strength a little bit. Constitution, actually not that important. Again, dexterity, because we actually want to be really early in the turn order. A big part about this build is being in the right place in the turn order for your team to basically be in the best position. So you kind of want to get, everybody in your party in the same turn block. So the best way to do that is obviously to have everybody start first. So that's usually how I like to play with my parties. Everybody high on the turn order. Obviously that's the best, because if you go first, then the enemies don't get to go, and you can just kill them in 1 or 2 rounds. So high dexterity and high charisma. That's the most important thing about this build. Other than that, let's move into the leveling process. Level 2, you just need to make sure you pick up command. This is going to essentially be my command build. Command is really good for crowd control. So that's why you need to, again, have that early turn order so you can use those various commands on to basically put your team in the best position possible. Other than that, level 2 there, you get Divine Smite. If you can't command a target, for example, Undead, you cannot use command on. You have Divine Smite, which thankfully that's radiant damage, so that's going to destroy undead. And then moving to level 3, you're just going to pick up Bane. Bane is another way to debuff targets, say if command doesn't work. And it's also a concentration. We're not going to be focusing on too many concentrations in the early game. Bane is kind of like Bless, where they're pretty strong in the early game and then they fall off. So just know that Bane is just another way for you to debuff your targets and your enemies. And then moving on to level 4, really the only thing you need to worry about picking up here is for your feats. You need to either bump up your charisma with the ability score improvement, or you need to pick alert. Now, since we already have pretty high dexterity, maybe alert isn't the best choice here. Having higher charisma is going to help you succeed, or it's going to have a higher dice check for your targets that you're debuffing if you bump up your charisma. So I would go with charisma here. And then moving on to level 5, we inherently already pick up Hold Person as a Vengeance Paladin, and this is basically going to be the next evolution of the concentration that we're focusing on. So at level 3 there we had Bane, and that was kind of our concentration. Well, now it's Hold Person, and Hold Person is extremely strong, especially for setting up characters that can do damage in a melee range. So I'm thinking a Swords Bard or a Thief Rogue type that has a main action and then a bonus action attack as well. So Hold Person is really, really strong. And then moving on to level 6, we're not picking up anything crucial, so whatever you feel like you need, you can choose. And that's essentially how we're going to be set up for Act 1 the entire way. You're going to be utilizing command, making sure you're on the right court. Hi, baby. Yeah, puppy attack. Fine, we'll go on a walk soon. But yeah, that's what we're going to be utilizing for Act 1. Basically, we really want to focus on command, using Bane, and then if all else fails, you do have Divine Smite. But just know, this character's role is to be in the front line and to be using those debuffs for your enemies, and basically to set up your allies to be really successful. So I'm going to take my dog on a walk, and then we'll talk about the Act 2 leveling and what we're going to be doing there. And we're back. Okay, so moving on to Act 2. So that's level 7 through 10. Going to continue on with Paladin. Nothing really that crucial to pick up. Maybe level 8 feat wise. Again, add more into your charisma or pick up alert. But this is the point where we're going to want to multi-class and probably re-level So we're going to start off with 2 Paladin, picking basically everything the same. We're just making sure we get command. And then the rest of the way, we're multi-classing. We're sticking with Sorcerer the rest of the way. So Sorcerer, level 1 there. We're going to just pick up Shield, and the subclass we're going with is Wild Magic. At level 2, just make sure you picked up Twin Meta. It's probably the best pick there. Level 3 for them, pick up the Meta Magic for Quickened and Grab Hold Person. And then level 4, same feats as before. Nothing else that's that crucial. And then at level 5, make sure to pick up Slow or Counterspell. Level 6 there, we get Bend Luck, so we just get basically a little bit of an advantage. Now, Wild Magic, it can backfire on you sometimes, but that's all in like good fun, right? So it's worth the risk. But also at level 6, if you want to replace spell and make sure you pick up Slow or Counterspell, whichever one you did not pick up, that's completely fine. And then level 7 and 8, Confusion and Polymorph. Confusion is probably the better one to pick up. Polymorphs, it's a fun one, but not necessarily as good as, again, like Hold Person or Confusion, but it's an option. And then, yeah, the feat we would pick up there is, again, Ability Score Improvement or Alert. So that'll essentially round out Act 2, and you'll be around level 10. Now, why this multi-class? Well, we want to ensure that we get Command. And the best way to synergize Command with Sorcerer, and Sorcerer is like the best debuff class overall, just because of their meta magics. And so Command and Paladin, they both have Charisma that synergizes with Sorcerer. So that's why we didn't pick like Cleric to get Command. And then also the Fiend for Warlock, they also get Command, but then you're going to lose out on wearing heavy armor and being like proficient with like long swords and stuff like that. So that's why we went with Paladin, and Paladin kind of still fits the role, again, in that like level 1 to 6 range. But now moving on to Act 3, just to finish off those levels. So we're going to stick with Sorcerer. Level 9 there, you're going to get Hold Monster. So really crucial for, I would say, some more later game bosses or encounters. That can be really helpful. And then level 10, really the only crucial thing is we get the Meta Magic Heightened, which is going to give us advantage on our spells, which again, because this is a debuff, kind of a control melee character, yeah, that's going to be really helpful, especially for, you know, when your hit chances isn't that great. But honestly, once we get to the gear section, we're really not going to have a problem succeeding with our control spells. We're going to have like a 90 to 95% chance to succeed. So Heightened may not be that crucial unless like you really need to ensure that you get a spell off. So that would be the only time that I would actually like use Heighten. And then talking about gear, so for Act 1, I think Bow of Awareness and the Gloves of Power, those are basically the only ones I'd worry about there. Act 2 is when we start getting those +1 to your spell dice checks. So the Fistbreaker Helm, that's something to look out for. The Sentinel Shield, this is going to help with your initiative, because again, being first in the turn order is really important for this class. But at the end of Act 2, you get Kethric's Shield, and that's going to be your best shield because again, it gives you +1 to spell dice checks. Act 3, we get a lot more of those, again, additions to spell dice checks. So Hood of the Weave, the Duke's Longsword gives you +2 to Charisma. That'll be really helpful. There's the Hellrider Bow, again, that's just more initiative. And then something like Cloak of the Weave and Birthright, those are also, again, really helpful item picks to, again, ensure that you have that 90-95% chance to basically get your spells off and that they're going to succeed. So that's the build overall. Kind of give like a broad overview because this is definitely an interesting build overall. You're going to be setting up, like I said, martial characters or characters that get in that 3-meter range, something like an Eldritch Blast or a Scorching Rays build, this pairs really nicely with. And then if you think you don't have enough, I would say like frontline melee damage, I would actually take 5 Paladin instead and then go with 7 for Sorcerer. It's going to let you use Quickened to set up the field with Hold Person or Command, whatever you need to do to control the field. And then you can just use your remaining actions to do Divine Smite or, you know, whatever else you need to do with like damage. And then because we're level 5 Paladin, we'll get, you know, your extra attack as well. So if you feel like you do need that like extra damage, I would go with that alteration. But the one I like to run with is, again, yeah, that 2 Paladin and then rest of the way Sorcerer. So overall, I do call this my Templar build. Again, I'm taking the name from Final Fantasy Tactics and the character Beowulf. Let me know what you guys think of the build. I know it's not exactly an optimized build, but this is definitely a different and like fun way to play with a frontline character. And then moving on to the outro here, I'll call this like my round table section here. I have found that I've started 2 new playthroughs, one multiplayer, one solo, and I don't want to say regressing, but as far as like, I like to actually have my characters not multi-class, really ensure that they stick in their lane and kind of their job, and it's just like a fun way to play, kind of like limits you, but you know, it's actually like, you know, built into the game, so you're not like exactly handicapping yourself on purpose. It's like kind of like a rule set to play with. And this is going to help me out when those new subclasses come out, because well, when I cover them, you know, it's going to be the full subclass kit and what it can do before, you know, start covering anything like multi-class wise. So I don't know if anybody else is kind of going through the same kind of mindset with their latest playthroughs, but that's the video. If you made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And yeah, peace and take care.